I'm Tanitra Batiste. It's Thursday, and yeah, it's game day, but is this team ready to play?
I'm Maria Martin, and I'm really hoping for a bounce-back performance so we can talk about something positive for once.
I'm Aaron Freeman, and the Falcons are playing the Bucs, which means it's Kirk Sember.
I'm Jarvis Davis. Can we just put Baker Mayfield on his back and maybe slap him around a little bit?
ATL! ATL! Rise up, A-Town. It's the Falcons Squad. Everything Atlanta Falcons every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the ATL. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Straight from the ATL, the Falcons Squad Show starts now.
Welcome to the Falcon Squad Show, your home for the best Atlanta Falcons football talk. I'm your host, Tanitra Batiste. Alongside me, our Locked On Falcons host, Aaron Freeman, Locked On analyst, Jarvis Davis, and 11 Alive anchor, Maria Martin. The Squad Show is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, this Squad Show has squad goals, but does this Falcons bunch have any goals? We'll talk about that. And can Jeff Ulbrich somehow, some way figure out how to get some key stops from his group? We'll talk about that as well. And then, we got some tea from a dearly departed Falcon we will discuss. But first things first, Jarvis, there is a game tonight and against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Falcons hadn't beaten them this year. And we're looking for something different to happen. And do you actually think that there's something positive that maybe can happen and that we can glean from this matchup against Tampa tonight?
In the famous words of Denzel Washington, they better leave with something.
I believe it was something.
better leave with something. They better steal some doggone, some seats, steal some equipment or something, like or win. How about that? They need to steal a win out of this bad boy, because here's the thing. Raheem Morris is in a situation where he has to show some type of promise. He has to show that, hey, man, give me one more year. I don't mind being a lame duck coach for the next season. Whatever y'all do, this is what we got to do. But, he needs to show that, hey, man, I know what I'm doing and fix the issues, right? Like, we've been talking about this special teams for a little bit, this wide receiver room. Get somebody else a chance. I'm tired of looking at David Seals. Like, he's not a professional football player. He's a practice squad guy. Like, let's keep it funky. That's because this is these last few games are keep it funky month. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep it funky. Like, hey, man, you're not good on special teams and you're not good at wide receiver. So why you on this active roster? Like for real, like what are we really doing? So yeah, I think this is one of those scenarios where, hey, Raheem Morris has to prove that he can make the hard decisions, so to speak, and say, hey, man, we got to do what we got to do to win. And if that means taking the guy out of the lineup that you really just like as a player, hey, man, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and Maria, I think you kind of alluded to it in the opening. At this point, give us something to be positive about. I mean, come to play, do something. And I think Jarvis just mentioned it as well. Like, not only are these players playing for their lives if they want to remain with the Falcons next season, but we could say the same for coaches, particularly Raheem Morris. And so what can we possibly glean out of a matchup against Tampa Bay, where not only do the Falcons look to finally end this losing streak, but also to maybe avenge a game that they lost in week 1 that maybe they should have won?
Yeah, I mean, the one positive thing for the Falcons, I think, is that the Buccaneers are headed in the opposite direction of what they looked like in the beginning of the season, right? They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games since the week 9 bye that they had. And so when the first matchup happened with Tampa, you thought, oh my gosh, this team looks really good. Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield. Now they're sliding the opposite direction. I know that Falcons fans get a little bit squirrely when I say something like that because we think, oh, this is a get right game for Tampa and they're going to make an example out of the Falcons. I'm going to hope and pray that that's not the case this time, especially because the Falcons just got embarrassed by Seattle. And so the last thing they want is to get embarrassed 2 straight games. You already have no postseason hopes. You're already sliding in a bad direction that you've been sliding in for a really long time. The worst possible thing that you can do is go down there to Tampa in a short week and be made an example of. So for me, that's what I'm looking for because there's kind of not much else to look for at this point. You need to make sure that you can respond in the right way. Jeff Ulbrich mentioned, that 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown was the momentum shifter that everyone it sucked the life out of the team. I mean, they couldn't respond no matter what. And so for me, I'm looking for how does this team respond as a whole from the game on Sunday? And honestly, it's tough when you're playing football and there's nothing to play for. You play to win, you play to go to the playoffs, you play for success. Like that's everybody that's played competitive sports. You don't go out there hoping to lose. So I think for them, it's just all in all their overall response from Sunday, because if you get into the nitty gritty stuff, it doesn't matter so much anymore, depending on the way that you look at it. But for these guys, they wanted to make the playoffs or nothing. And now it's nothing. So how do you respond to being blown out on Sunday? Hopefully not what we've seen the Falcons do several other occasions in teams having a get right game against them. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. And we'll talk about how get right could go very, very wrong for the Falcons in terms of them getting right, Marie, in a little bit, just based on who might take the field for Tampa Bay tonight. But for you, Aaron, you try your best to see the best in things. Like, where can we get something out of this game? Hopefully a win, so we can talk about that tonight. But maybe bigger
Jarvis,
picture, 30,000 feet. I know, right?
I'm looking at Aaron. I'm responding to Aaron's look on his face.
Yeah, because I know Aaron's looking like,
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Optimistic Aaron. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So exactly. So will this be optimistic Aaron, or will this be stomp on your hopes, dreams, aspirations, keep it real, Aaron?
Well, Maria stepped on me stomping on the dreams because she basically, when she said, oh, the Falcons could bounce back, and then she said, but we know the Falcons are always the get right game. So it was like, okay, she got that out of the way there. So I did that. So I will be optimistic for once on this podcast.
Nice.
And the one thing you have to hold your hat on is, Kirk Cousins does really well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And like, that's it. It's like Kirk Cousins, come out here, do what you do against Tampa Bay, look all world, look like a Hall of Famer against the Bucs. It's the only team that you look like that against based off what we've seen the last couple of years. And that's really all you got for the Falcons. And if he's able to do that, you're able to potentially derail this Bucs season. You knock them out of the playoffs, do a solid for the Carolina Panthers of all teams. I'll hold them potentially into the playoffs, right? And you finally get to kind of dethrone the Bucs, even if it's not you leapfrogging them in the first place, which we've been pushing for the Falcons to be that team the last 3 years. You can get somebody else in there. So, it's an assisted division crown, right? That's the way how it works, right? You get an assist, right? You don't get the points, but you get an assist, right? So that's really about all you got for the Falcons.
UCF NFC South division.
Nice. Yeah.
There you go.
Claim the title.
Claim that thing, man. Claim it.
Right.
So that's really all you got. That's all you got.
That's really, all you got is maybe Kirk Chains showing up again and having at least, even if he has some semblance of a game, like he had 2 massive games against the Bucs last season, where you saw him helping the Falcons to sweep that series, the record-setting 509-yard, 400 touchdown performance, of course, in the overtime win in week 5 of last season, and then, of course, 4 touchdowns in week 8. So, maybe a Kirk Sember, as you said, might actually do something. But if we're being honest, Jarvis, we know that it's really about all 3 phases that need to bounce back: offense, defense, special teams. We've been talking about even 2 of those phases showing up and playing at a high level, and that putting the Falcons in a position to win. So which one of these phases do you feel like actually has the best opportunity to help?
Wow. That's a great question. I really feel I wanted to go with the special teams because you can change some guys out, switch some guys out, but I'm not going to be optimistic about that unit at this moment. So, but I feel like the defense is the unit that has the ability to be it, right? Because looking at what they're going up, how they've been playing, right? You got James Pierce Jr. Obviously, the second half of the Seahawks game, yeah, you can basically throw that in the trash, that film in the trash. But just looking at how James Pierce has been playing, you're getting Jalen Walker back, so I feel like this rush is gonna get Brandon Doyle's back as well. So when you talk about you getting pieces that have been pretty consistent for you throughout this season, I feel like they have the best opportunity to have a good showing. And then Mike Hughes showed up. He showed up to play football in the first half last week. So
He heard the slander.
Huh? I mean, what?
Not from you. I'm just saying in general. Online, people hate Mike Hughes.
Right. So
yeah, not from you.
Shout out to Mike Hughes for showing up to play football. He joined the team last week in the first half. So yeah. So that gives me hope. So yeah, I'm going with the defense, T.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. The defense. What about you, Maria? Offense, defense, special teams. Which one of these groups, which one of these phases of the Falcons game can actually bounce back and maybe put this team in a position to win?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Jarvis in that I don't trust special teams at all at this point. Yeah. Why should we trust that unit when we haven't seen anything to make us trust them? It's that thing where show me a couple times I don't trust you anymore. It's not a saying, I just made that up, but that's how I feel. And then the defense, yeah, you would expect a bounce back performance. You would hope, especially because they played really well in that first half against Seattle. But I'll take the offense here just to be different, especially because the Bucs defense has been getting shredded on play action, and Kirk's actually been doing really well with his play action stuff. So why not? I'm going to pick the offense, especially because we just mentioned Kirk Cousins does very well against Tampa. Add that into the fact that, again, he's been very effective in play action. And I know the thought process is he doesn't really have any receivers to throw to, and Drake's missing his fourth straight game. But for some reason, I think that they find a way to find more success than they did certainly in the game on Sunday.
Yeah. And Aaron, what phase are you going with? I mean, you could go with special teams because, Jarvis has already waved the flag for defense. Maria has waved the flag for offense. I mean, do you want to be daring and say maybe it's special teams that'll bounce back and help this team bounce back?
Let's do it. We're at the point of the season. Who cares, right? So let's go with special teams. And this is legit because the Bucs also have terrible special teams. They have one of the worst special teams. It's not quite as bad as the Falcons, but it's like, it's the 28th best special teams unit going up against the 32nd best special teams unit. So it's like, hey, one of these units might actually look pretty good tonight for once. And so I feel like there's an opportunity for the Falcons. We saw, some missed field goals from the Bucs in that first game. They were giving up a ton of return yards. So maybe this is one of 3 good games that Jamal Agnew has this season. So like, yeah, let's go with special teams. It's prepared to bounce back. And in these divisional games, it's probably going to boil down to 1 or 2 special teams plays is going to be deciding the outcome of what often is going to be a 1-score game with these Falcons-Bucs games and most of these division matchups that often go into overtime and all that stuff. So, 1 big return, 1 missed field goal probably will decide the fate of the game. And why not? Look, we'll never talk about the Falcons special teams having a good game ever again in the calendar year of 2025. So let's close it out by saying, hey, this is their one shot to have a good game. Sure.
Wow. Is it me or was any... Say that again, Jarvis.
No, I was just gonna say, man, I'm in shock right now. Free is just being so positive.
Well, part of it, Jarvis, is I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I'm running on fumes. So this is
why did you only sleep 4 hours? That's the biggest question.
I don't know, Maria. I don't know. I don't have a reason for it, but
activities that you refuse to tell us about, sips tea.
No, nothing weird. Okay, guys, don't do that. Don't do that.
Instagram,
Hey,
TikTok
You are
scrolling.
grown. This is an adult. You are grown. Okay, we adult the way we want to adult. So no judgment.
You could have just been on a doom scroll,
Yeah, if you were out there in those Carolina streets, I mean, do you? Yeah, and dare somebody to say something about it, Aaron.
Okay.
I hope you had a nice time, Aaron.
Yes. I hope you popped your collar and everything, Aaron. I hope you did you. In fact, I hope Aaron didn't show up in the Carolina streets. I hope Free did. Just saying.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because see, when Free shows up in the Carolina streets, maybe that kind of gives the Falcons some encouragement to actually show up in Tampa Bay looking a little bit different themselves. Speaking of that, though, like I said, we have goals on this show, individually and collectively. But the question is, this show has squad goals. Does that squad have goals? We'll talk about that when we take it under further review. This episode of our Falcon Squad Show is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make everyday decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and right here in Georgia. And if you've been using Prize Picks during both football Sundays and the NBA tip-offs, it keeps every game exciting, and you can pick your favorite players to see how many predictions actually play out. And the new Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on a player's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. So if you're watching Cup action, I suggest you do that for the reigning MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Not a bad move at all. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So, Maria, when you think about where the Falcons are, 6 straight losses, only 4 games to kind of make up some of ground. And I don't mean make up ground in the postseason, but I mean make up ground, like have some pride in yourself. Want to finish the season out on a high note and show that you're the professionals that we know you are. But if there's a goal that should happen, what would you say is that goal that we should, that not we, but the Falcons should actually go after, just in terms of, hey, we've got 4 games left and there's still something that we want to prove?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds redundant, but don't get embarrassed. I mean, I'm serious though, because now that you have completely just obliterated the dreams that you set out in the offseason, I think it's important that you actually show something on tape that makes you think, okay, this is not all hope is lost, which I know a lot of fans feel that way right now, which I think is, very warranted given what's transpired over the season. And I would like to see at least one Falcon go to the Pro Bowl. That would be a goal for me personally, and I'm sure for the team, even though a lot of them are going to say they don't believe in personal accolades, and they'll say that, but they have internal personal goals, whether it's to make a Pro Bowl or whatever. And it's tough for a team like this for guys to make the Pro Bowl, because you obviously send most of the guys to the Pro Bowl that are on really successful teams. They just stand out more. Although I do think there's a couple of guys on this roster that are Pro Bowl caliber players. And so to me, that would be a goal. Don't get embarrassed. Send a guy to a Pro Bowl and just make sure you are showing some improvement in areas of offense, defense, special teams, because staying consistent at this point will cripple this franchise moving forward. And if you can't show that you're even making just some improvement, even just a little bit each and every game, then I think it really, we're already at a place where everybody has bad taste in their mouth heading into next year. But if you just show status quo, get blown out, et cetera, the next 4 games, that's really, really, really going to hurt your future as a franchise.
Yeah, and I think there's one guy who we definitely know should, if he doesn't make the Pro Bowl, I think Bijan Robinson, I think we'd all be shocked there. So certainly, and speaking of running backs, we just got news both via Twitter and via email. Just an FYI that the team released a statement saying running backs coach Michael Petrie will miss tonight's game due to a personal matter. Offensive assistants KJ Black and Patrick Kramer will fill his role for tonight's game. Obviously, we hope it's a personal matter, so our thoughts and prayers are certainly with him. But again, just wanted to give you guys that heads up that Michael Petrie will not be with the team tonight dealing with a personal matter. That said, Aaron, I think that if there is a group that could actually stand not having their leader in place, it's probably the running back room, because between Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, we're probably seen the most consistent play out of the Falcons so far this season. But just going back to this team, looking at it from a 30,000 foot perspective, what should the goal be, not just for the running back room, but for this offense overall in these last 4 games?
Well, to be honest with you, when you take that 30,000 foot view, like the real goal for the rest of the season, since there's really not a whole lot left to play for other than pride, is just like keeping Bijan Robinson healthy so that you don't have to deal with another setback heading into next season. So, hey, Tyler Algier, you're a free agent. Hey, showcase, hey, let's get Tyler Algier 15 carries to keep Bijan fresher heading into the future for this football team, and give Tyler Algier all the shine that he deserves so that he can go get paid this offseason and hopefully get a chance to go to a winning organization this offseason. So, that's really what they got to play for. That's really about it for me.
Yeah. And what about you, Jarvis? What about you? When you look at this team, you see these last 4 games of the season, and there's not necessarily anything to play for in the bigger scheme, meaning postseason. But hey, players are, just like Free mentioned, players are looking for that opportunity to maybe showcase themselves and what they're able to do next season. But also you might have some incentives in there in contracts, if you will. I'm sure that could loom large for some players. But on the offensive side of the ball, other than that, big picture goals for that offense.
Hey, Zach Robinson, I know you listen. I know you watch and listen to our show on a regular basis. Can you be better on third down? 1 for 13, sir? That is ridiculous. And then I feel like sometimes, y'all, I don't know how y'all feel about this, so I'm just going to speak for myself. I feel like some of these coaches don't have any self-awareness. Because, Zach Robinson said in his press conference, speaking to the media, that he used to be responsible for third downs when he was with the Rams. Bruh, I wouldn't have said that out loud. I would have kept that to myself and tried to figure this thing out. They have been awful on third down. Why can't you figure this thing out? How can you not put yourself in third and long situation? Because when this team gets in third and long situation, I'm like, oh yeah, they're about to get ready to punt. I have no faith whatsoever, none, that they're going to get a first down at all. And if Kirk Cousins just so happens to get it there, there's no guarantee that the wide receiver going to catch it. So yeah, Zach, figure out a way to take some chances on second down. Don't put yourself in obvious passing downs. Figure out a way to take some shots on second down. Be real aggressive. Be aggressive on first down. Don't turn around and hand it off to Bijan. I know Free's gonna probably lose it, but he already said that Tyler Algier should take all these licks for the rest of the season. So I'm good. All right. So yeah, this is where you try to understand what your big issue is, which is third downs, and understand why you're in those situations, because it's third and long. It doesn't give you an opportunity to convert. So you take some shots on the early downs. And because the defense is pretty keen on what you're doing on first and second down as far as running the football. So, yeah, switch it up, man. Like, if this is what you were responsible for with the Rams, which is Sean McVay is very well known that he was an excellent play caller. So, yeah, man, tap into that and see what happens.
Well, in order to do that, maybe quite possibly he's going to have to find an X factor, meaning Zach Robinson. I mean, Maria, who could the X factor be on offense tonight?
Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins. I'm not picking any receivers because on Sunday Well, no. Last Thursday, talking about the Seattle game, I picked Kyle Pitts. I'm not picking anybody anymore except for Kirk Cousins. I don't trust anyone to catch the ball anymore because I really thought that Kyle could have a big game on Sunday, and it looked like he might. And then he dropped the football a couple times when it was critical. So I think Kirk Cousins, and especially because there's all these articles out there illustrating why Kirk Cousins is a bully for Tampa Bay, and I think that can continue for so many different reasons that I've already said. But that's simply because I don't really trust anybody else. Aside from the running back room, we trust them. We already said that. That's fine. But, I mean, Kirk's got to be able to dish out something a little different on Thursday, tonight. So, yeah, I'm going with Kirk Cousins in this one.
Yeah. What about you, Free? Give me an X factor on offense for tonight.
I'm going with Kyle Pitts, right? Like,
dang it.
What else do I got?
Wow.
What else do I got?
Hey,
like,
well,
and like last week we got classic Kyle Pitts where he'll make some big plays and he will let you down a handful of times and you'll be like, well, that's the inconsistency that we've been dealing with Kyle Pitts for several years. But hey, who else? I'm looking around that wide receiver room and I'm like, who else you gonna throw the football to? We know Kyle Pitts goes off every single time against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and so that's about it. Like you're asking me, I'm gonna put my faith in Darnell Mooney. I'm gonna put my faith in David Sills. I'm gonna put my faith in Dylan Drummond. I'm gonna put my faith in Devin Tompkins because we know Kadero Hodge ain't playing, right? Like, even though he cooks the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they ain't ever putting him on the field for whatever reason. We'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah, check his Instagram.
I'm just looking like, hey, Kyle Pitts, you're gonna drop 3 passes, but you're gonna catch like 10 passes. So like, I'll take that because that's 10 more passes than any of the other guys are gonna catch in this game. So Kyle Pitts is the X factor.
As long as the catches are bigger than the drops, we're good.
yes, exactly. Well, maybe you're onto something, Free, kind of, sort of. Pitts has 33 catches for 463 yards and 3 touchdowns in 7 games versus the Bucs in his career. And we know what his stats look like, especially in that touchdown department. So that's pretty darn big. But Jarvis, your guy, your X factor on offense tonight.
Oh,
Dramatic pause.
golly. I'm putting this one on the offensive line. Can y'all just protect Kirkington? Just protect him. Just protect him. Free. Why are you looking at me like that? I ain't shaking my head. You said Kyle Pitts. Shoot.
Hey, Ryan Newsom versus
more likely to happen. The offensive line play well, or Kyle Pitts to be consistent. I mean, let's talk about it, I guess not. But nah, I'm going with the offensive line on this one. I really feel like Zach is going to put this team in good situations with his play calling. And Kirkington is going to, like Maria mentioned, Kirkington is going to fire them up like he normally does, like he did last year, giving us all that hope, and then just threw it all away. Just splashed all the hope, just stepped on it. 8 times stumped on that bad boy and kicked it out the window. But I think this offensive line has a real opportunity because this team has not played well in the last month or so, and I'm not surprised because this is just how this division rolls, and the fact that the Falcons are out of it because of in this division, it's just kind of just typical. But no, I'm going with offensive line T because I still have hope.
Hope springs eternal.
Yes,
it's not a bad thing to still have hope. Just risk versus reward, and so many other things that come to mind with that hope. But hey, it's the holiday season, so you're in the holiday spirit. You're in a happy place.
Yes.
I hope you can stay there around 11:17 tonight. I hope it works out for you.
Yes. Yeah.
When we come back, we'll talk about whether or not Jeff Ulbricht's unit can keep a magician in check. Guys, it's 2025, almost 2026, and those days of waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see a doctor, they're over. No more walking it off for 6 months, no more pretending that weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping wrong. It's time to take your health seriously, and ZocDoc makes that easier than ever because staying healthy is more than hitting the gym or eating right. It's absolutely actually getting things checked out when something feels off. So using ZocDoc makes scheduling easier. Search for in-network doctors and book right in the app. Real appointment times are listed, including same-day visits. No more back and forth phone calls or waiting weeks to be seen. And it's super helpful for routine checkups and those little issues you've been meaning to get checked out. So stop putting off your doctor's appointments and get the care you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. So Free, now let's shift gears because, and actually we'll call out Jarvis's group that he was optimistic about that might allow for a bounce back for this team, and that's defense. Now, Jeff Ulbrich, however, referred to Baker Mayfield as Houdini at his weekly press conference, which Houdini might make the bounce back ever so challenging. But from your perspective, are the Falcons equipped, and how can they equip themselves to hold off that Bucs offense, seeing as though they're also bringing back Mike Evans potentially and Jalen McMillan tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for the secondary, with these guys. And it's probably not even those two guys that you're really worried about. It's Emeka Egbuka, who was cooking Mike Hughes in that week 1 game, and Chris Godwin is in this game that he wasn't in that week 1 game. And essentially the challenge, I think, for the Falcons secondary is going to be, you bring back Mike Evans, you're probably going to put AJ Terrell on him. That kind of makes AJ, and Mike Evans can essentially be a decoy for the entire game, because as AJ's being occupied trying to cover Mike Evans, that just allows Baker Mayfield to do what pretty much every team has done for like the last 8 weeks, which is like, oh, Mike Hughes is over there, and the guy he's covering is wide open, so I'm just going to throw it to that guy. And so I think the challenge for the Falcons defense is to not put it on the Falcons secondary to win this game. It's going to be on the Falcons defensive front to go out there and win the game and do the thing that Jarvis has been pining for years and years and years, which is to put Baker Mayfield on his back. They were able to get a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield in that week 1 game, but they were only able to put him down on the ground for a sack only 1 time. And I think if the Falcons are going to win this game, they're going to have to probably put him down 4 or 5 times to really maximize their chances. And that's going to be a challenge with Tristan Wirfs being back in the lineup when he wasn't in that week 1 lineup. And so that puts a lot of pressure on the interior D-line to step up this week, because you're probably not going to get as effective pressure from the edge rushers with Tristan Wirfs in the lineup as the Falcons have been relying on, and James Pierce and Arnold Ebiketie and Leonard Floyd and Jalen Walker and all those guys throughout the season. And it's going to be on Ruka Roro. It's going to be on, I don't even remember if Brandon Doris is going to be back this week. And David Onyemata, I know, is beat up. But it's like, it's Contavious Street is the hero of the Falcons defensive line. It's like it's on Contavious Street. And, it's possible because the Bucs are dealing with 2 backup guards in this lineup, with Ben Bredesen, their left guard, being out, Cody Mock, their right guard, being out for a long time, and those guys being replaced. And so there's an opportunity there for this Falcons interior D line to kind of assert themselves in a major way and be a big factor in keeping, Baker Mayfield, aka Houdini, who always seems to bust out 1 15 or 20-yard scramble against the Atlanta Falcons. And so if they can keep him contained in that way, I think that would be a huge part for this defense to be able to overcome some of the challenges that the Bucs will throw their way.
Yeah, and speaking of challenges, we'll see if there actually is a challenge so far, and it looks like they're trending both Evans and McMillan to play, but of course Mike Evans is still listed officially as questionable, just got activated from the IR yesterday, and then Jalen McMillan was a limited participant in practice yesterday for the Bucs, officially listed as questionable. But again, both of those guys are trending in the direction like they will likely take the field tonight. So knowing that, Jarvis, when you look at and I think Free makes a great point, maybe the onus is not so much, and you probably hope so too, that maybe the onus is not so much on the secondary, meaning all that pressure on AJ Terrell, but what do you see as the Falcons' biggest tool in the toolkit to be able to hold off this Bucs offense if it is indeed back to almost 100%?
Yeah, I think, Free is spot on, because I think the interior rush is going to be huge for this one, because when you have the opportunity to put more pressure in the face of a vertically challenged quarterback. Not no shade to it. No, you know what? Shade towards Baker Mayfield. I don't care about him. But yeah, like what?
I was waiting for that. I was like, why do you care about hurting?
Yeah,
Baker
I don't care
Mayfield?
about Baker Mayfield. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like you can't make me like him. But no, I really feel like, guys like Brandon Douglas, Ruka, row. Like it is time for you to play some football, man, because you haven't been great in. Oh gosh, I feel it coming in my soul. You haven't been great against the run, and I'm being nice by saying that. And if you are going to be a guy to be counted on to be on this roster and get another contract, I know you only in your second year, but hey, man, look, you got to show something. You got to show something. Like we can't be talking about promise and potential going into your second year. Your second year is when you're supposed to start to pop a little bit.
Take a big leap.
Yeah. He has done that. He has done that from time to time, but you can't be awful against the run. I'm sorry. Yeah. It just, as a defensive tackle in this league, that's just not gonna work. Like you're not that great rushing the passer. So I feel like this is gonna be on this interior part of this defense, and hopefully Brandon Douglas is able to, come back. Ross said that he's looking forward to get him back, but we know how Ra is when it comes to talking about injuries and stuff. It can be a little weird. But yeah, I think the onus is going to be on this interior defensive line to like really put some pressure right in the face of Baker Mayfield. And of course, it's going to be on those edge guys to, once he breaks that pocket, and he will, they're going to have to be able to put him on the ground.
Yeah, and we haven't gotten the list of inactives just yet for tonight's game. So we're still hopeful that Brandon Douglas will not be on that particular list. But for you, Maria, when you look at this team and what particularly Jeff Ulbricht's unit will have to do against Houdini, what do they need to do? I mean, are they even equipped to be able to, I wouldn't say stop the Bucs offense, but maybe just hope to contain them?
I mean, yeah, I think they're equipped to do that. Also, shout out to Young Pricey, who's listening to us from the West Coast. Appreciate you listening for sure. But I will say that I absolutely think they're equipped. I thought they were equipped to stop Seattle, and like what happened in the second half, it's all about responses, which has been the theme of what I've been discussing today. And these two guys broke it down very eloquently. I think that getting pressure on the quarterback is paramount here, because especially when Baker Mayfield has been struggling, when I mentioned earlier off the top of the show, the Bucs headed in the wrong direction, especially in the last 4 games. Baker hasn't thrown for over 200 yards at all. He doesn't have a 200-yard game. And that's pretty uncharacteristic for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. So you can call him Houdini, and at times he does look like that. But right now, something's going on with Baker, and it's not working out. So this is a very good opportunity for this Falcons defense to have their own get-right game. So erase the second half of the Seattle Seahawks game because yuck, and figure out how to generate pressure like they've been able to be successful at, especially when Baker really, really, really struggles when you're throwing a lot at him. And the Falcons can do that really well. They've illustrated that on several different occasions this year, especially defensively up front. You get Brandon Douglas back, presumably. That should help you a little bit. Tristan Wirfs is obviously going to be a tremendous challenge for a guy like James Pierce Jr., but James, especially recently, has turned a corner and I think really started to figure out what works for him and what doesn't. And he's a rookie. I mean, this happening in his first year, that's the positive little nuggets that I'm talking about earlier, what I want to see the next 4 games as. That'll leave you with, oh, there's some hope here. And that's kind of what you're looking for in the next 4 games. I think James Pierce Jr. has done a really good job of showing you that. He has an opportunity to do so again tonight in Tampa Bay. So, I think pressure is huge in this one. I do think the Falcons are equipped to do that. And leaving it all on the secondary is a horrible idea in this game. So if you can really get things started up front, I think that'll help a ton.
And I'll ask you guys this question, but it sounds like you guys are on the same page as far as where the onus kind of falls. And that takes nothing away from the secondary, by the way. But I'll ask again, because it sounds like we're all in agreement that, hey, if the defense can get pressure up front, then that's where the game will turn in the Falcons' favor. But maybe drill that down a little bit further, even Free, which group will have to play their best on this defensive side of the ball in order for the Falcons to have a chance to get a win.
Well, just to zig while you expect me to zag, T. Let's talk about the linebacker group, right? Because if we're talking about Baker Mayfield escaping the pocket, you got to have somebody in a position to chase him down, right? And that's a perfect job for Divine Diablo, right? Now that the club is off and he's just in a normal cast there, he can actually, maybe make some open field tackles. Not to suggest that he wasn't making open field tackles, but it's going to help in that regard. And then, Caden Ellis, right? Caden Ellis has been kind of quiet the last couple of weeks. And if you're trying to dial up that interior pressure, probably the best guy you got beating guards is Caden Ellis, not necessarily any of the actual D tackles on this roster. And if you want to dial up some blitzes to throw at Baker Mayfield, try to get the ball out, help the secondary a little bit so that they don't have to worry about the vertical passes because the ball's coming out quick. I think that's a formula for success. And so I think one of the issues with this Falcons defense is their linebacker play has not been quite to the degree it was early in the season since Divine Diablo's return to the lineup. And so I do think that in addition to all the other factors that we're talking about on the defense up front and on the back end, if this linebacker group plays even better than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, I think that's going to be a huge part for the Falcons defense to be able to get this win.
Yeah. And what about you, Jarvis, when you kind of look at it? And I like that Free kind of drilled in a little bit more. So whether you want to drill in a little bit more on a group or a player, kind of where do you see this game turning for the Falcons as far as on the defensive side of the ball and what the group will need to do or what the player will need to do to make that happen?
I'm going over to the back end of his defense. So I'm gonna start right there at strong safety or at safety with Xavier Watts, because go back to that first game of the season, that man dropped 2 picks.
Yeah,
he was dang close to having 2 of them things. So for me, I feel like finishing that, being able to establish yourself, say, hey man, I was part of that trade too. So not only James Pierce Jr., but I was part of that trade too. I bring value to this thing. So I come back to the forefront because I feel like Watts got off to a really good start in the beginning of the year, and he's kind of been in the low, which is it happens when you talk about rookie players, guys getting used to playing this many games in the league and adjustments and all that stuff. There are a lot of factors that go into having success in your rookie year, and I feel like he's had it. But I want him to be able to finish where he started in that first game, because Baker Mayfield will throw you the football. His brother too, Baker Maker. So yeah, for me, I gotta look at Baker Maker. You know what I'm saying? Put Houdini on the ground, put him on his back, and I feel like from a secondary standpoint, Xavier Watts finish the drill and get those interceptions and give your offense an extra possession, because that's gonna help. You get this offense all the possessions they can doggone deal with. At some point, they're gonna have to convert. So you got to be able to help out with that.
Yeah. And what about you, Maria? Kind of where do you see it, whether it is a particular position group or whether it's a particular player where, hey, if that player or that position group really, really shows up, the Falcons might just get a win tonight?
I still think it's the defensive line, but I just want to point something out, because I think it's my fault that AJ Terrell allowed a touchdown against Seattle, because I had just tweeted out. I did. I had just tweeted out AJ Terrell doesn't get enough credit. And it was the first touchdown that he had allowed in 654 consecutive snaps. What is the luck on that? That's so annoying. I want to apologize to AJ. It is entirely my fault. And so, I just want to point out that I think that AJ Terrell most of the time does not get enough credit. I'll say it again here and just hope that I don't have a jinx for him in Tampa. But, AJ has been playing really good football. He is someone that I think is consistently reliable on this defense, which we haven't been able to say a lot for I can't even say more than 3 players consistently over the last 3 or 4 years. So I think AJ definitely falls into that category, and he's someone you can consistently rely on, especially when there's guys on Tampa, they're not really as full strength as they have been with their playmakers. They're certainly not as scary as they once were, but when you do have guys that can make plays, having AJ Terrell there definitely makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Guys, Maria just said scary, and she gave us a little tea about some scary commentary on Twitter. We got to talk about on the other side.
Give me the tea.
This episode of our Falcon Squad show is brought to you by Car Gurus. Car shopping should feel exciting, not confusing. And with Car Gurus, you get the confidence you deserve. They cut through all the noise so you can actually see the best deals on the cars you want. Because when it comes to a big purchase, you deserve the best deal. And Car Gurus makes that whole process simple by giving you real information, real deal ratings, and more listings than anyone else so you can shop the way you want. Use Car Guru's deal ratings to compare cars quickly without having to guess whether the price is fair. You'll love being able to filter by everything: mileage, trim, features, so you're only seeing cars that actually fit what you need. And I'm excited about this too, because I might be in the car market really, really soon, and having to go through all of the mileage and the trim and the features for the particular car that I want to see where I'll get the best deal. I don't have to even worry about all that anymore because I can go right to Car Gurus. Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships for a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, the most of any major online automotive marketplace, you'll always find the best deals. So shop the way you want to with the tools, data, and unbiased deal ratings that make it easy. Buy or sell your next car today at cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com. Cargurus.com. Now, Maria, this is a lengthy one, but it is worth reading because, baby, tea all day, every day. From Ray-Ray McCloud that you retweeted. So I am literally going to read this because, well, I feel like being petty. So these past months, Ray-Ray says, have been one of the toughest battles emotionally and mentally. And I do respect that, by the way, in all honesty and with real talk. I've dealt with in a long time, this is Ray-Ray, from taking the high road and letting stuff slide. But after isolating my mind, body, and spirit, I've learned understanding that during months and moments of growth, God will test you. I have understanding that hatred or envy from others usually means your potential intimidates them. Embrace it, all caps. I have understanding that the devil may use other people to get in the way from the vision that God has for you. I have an understanding that you have to live in your vision, not your circumstances. I understand that with every storm, God provides a way to escape and endure it, making it possible to see the other side. As it says in Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future. I have an understanding that everyone is going to have their own answers and opinions without knowing anything, but God has control of everything. God always sheds light to the truth, because it was never performance-based. So clearly, as the Bible also says, in all you're getting, get understanding. Clearly, Maria Ray-Ray McCloud has understanding, and he wants the rest of the world to have understanding about. And we all know it might be a little cryptic, but you know that he is trying to say, hey, things with me parting ways with the Atlanta Falcons was not performance-based.
Yeah, no, I think he said it. Yeah, I think he said it loud and clear. Like he's trying to call people out.
Oh,
and
yes,
I understand that, T, I'm glad that you mentioned off the top, acknowledging the first part of Ray-Ray, having a really tough time when you get released from a roster, then you go up there to New York, you're released by the Giants, like that sucks. And no matter what. But what I will say is there's always, and I'm not insinuating anything, but there's always two sides to every story. So I think it's very interesting that his is being vocalized, because obviously what good would it do for Raheem Morris or anyone to explain the Ray-Ray McCloud situation at this point in the year? Mm-hmm. And so it's Ray-Ray. He's going to try to stick up for whatever he thinks happened and, whatever he believes is the truth. I think anybody would do the same thing Ray-Ray is, except I don't know if they would be posting it on Instagram. But you know what? If he wants to do that, then by all means, he is very able to do that and very capable of, which he did. I don't think this is the last we've heard of this situation. What it does to me, though, is it signals there are bigger issues at hand and bigger issues at play. Again, two sides to every story, but clearly there is something very wrong with what was going on with that. This is also tied, I'm sure, to the Ike Hilliard situation, which, if you guys remember, someone had put in the chat earlier where it was Ike Hilliard. He was fired in late September. So yeah, he's gone. Who was, by the way, one of the most experienced people on the Falcons staff at their position group.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I don't think this is the last we've heard of this situation. We're going to get into another player who is also not being cryptic, is very much trying to spill the tea on things. And guys, this is what happens when a team's only won 4 games at this point in the year, right? Like, players are frustrated. They're ready to air their dirty laundry.
Yes,
they're over it. They haven't made the playoffs for 8 consecutive seasons. You will start to see more of that. Let's say, which we hope this doesn't happen, they lose the next 4 games, their last 4 remaining. Oh, you're going to get whatever. People who are angry and they feel slighted by an organization or a situation, they're going to say everything they want. We've seen it time and time again in the NFL. Drama, but they will absolutely 100% be honest about what happened and what they think happened. Okay, again, I don't know. I really don't know, and so I don't want to assume and insinuate things, but I think it's a mess. I think that's what it indicates.
Oh, it's a hot mess. Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. Yeah, you're not wrong about that because, and Maria, think about it. And Jarvis, Aaron, we have all been kind of spinning our wheels for the last few months trying to figure this out because Ike Hilliard, not only well respected in his as a position coach, but also well liked. So it was just confusing, almost felt very scapegoatish, and continues to feel scapegoatish just because the Falcons organization has been tight-lipped and in a cryptic way about the departure of Ike Hilliard, even the departure of Ray-Ray McCloud. We now have questions about what is really going on with Kadero Hodge, who is still with the team officially, but we haven't really had a Kadero Hodge sighting in a major way in some time now. So Jarvis, it's very hard not to think about and look at what Ray-Ray McCloud posted and saying, hey, when it's all said and done, maybe we're going to find out that there's more of an implosion than we even realized in certain ranks within this organization and within this team.
T, Maria, Free. My spidey senses have come to me, and I figured out why Ike Hilliard has been fired. I want to go back to Marquand Manuel when he was the defense coordinator for this team.
Yeah.
He got fired after having a pretty good doggone season as a DC. And I found out that the reason why he got fired was how he communicated with players. They didn't like how he communicated with players. What did Raheem Morris say when he was asked about Ike Hilliard? Communication, and then a whole word salad after that. I can't remember whatever he said. He mentioned communication. So I feel like Ike Hilliard is old school. Like Maria mentioned, he's been around. He's been in this game for a minute. He from the old school NFL. I know some guys that played in that era. See, we know Hugh. We know how he is and how he talks about players. Like Ike Hilliard is probably the same doggone way. So I feel like this organization doesn't like guys talking to their players in a certain way, which is I don't necessarily agree with. I feel like as long as you have a certain respect for those guys and you are coaching them in the right way and they're getting better, hey, man, it's football, dog. Like all that other stuff about, hey, man, what you got going on? True enough, when you're off the field, you got some mental issues, bro, you got to deal with. Cool, go do that.
Sure.
Go do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? But when you're on this field and you're good and you're healthy, hey, man, like some guys need to be coached hard. That's just the game. Some guys can't deal with, oh, man, how you doing, man? No, that's just not how some guys aren't equipped, aren't professional enough to be able to deal with that, to still do what they need to do and be coached in that manner. So, yeah, I feel like Ike Hilliard probably got let go because he was a little bit too hard on guys. And he was more of a straight shooter than what the Falcons organization is willing to deal with. So that's why he's not here. Oh, yeah, I throw Brian Cox in there too. Think about it. Come on now. This is an organizational issue.
But what do you think about Ray-Ray's tweet, just in terms of him kind of indicating that, hey, it's not exactly what you're thinking it is about my departure?
I think that was what it is, and I think that, you know, Ray-Ray was he's the reason. I mean, Ike Hilliard is the reason why Ray-Ray is here.
Yeah,
Ike Hilliard advocated for him, so of course I'm gonna get rid of the guy that you brought in, because I gotta clean out. I gotta get rid of that. Whatever they wanted to describe it as, I don't think, you know, that's an issue with me about how you communicate with guys. So I feel like they said, okay, you got to go. And hey, you saw the pattern. He was inactive, and then next thing you know, they got him on up out of there because he probably wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah. And Free, I want to ask that question to you, but then I want to throw out a little curveball to you guys before we wrap up, because I think Watson 4790 won't even try the first name. Maybe it's Baha'i, but has a good question for us. Just a curiosity question that I want to throw you guys' way. But before we do that, Free, wanted to give you a chance as well to react to Ray-Ray's commentary.
I mean, I remember when they fired Ike Hilliard, and we were doing all this dot connecting because Raheem wasn't giving us cryptic answers to the reasoning behind it. And I remember discussing sort of the idea of, you know, Ike Hilliard did a heck of a job in 2024 elevating this wide receiver core, and compare that to his replacement, TJ Yates, and the job he did in his previous stint as a wide receiver when the Falcons wide receivers position was pretty bad in 2023. And the Falcons wide receiver position is even worse in 2025, basically without Drake London healthy in the lineup. It's Drake London and then a whole lot of nothing. That's why I'm sitting here standing for Kyle Pitts, because it's like, what else you got? What else do you have? And so it's just interesting that the Falcons, you know, whether we're talking about Ray-Ray McCloud, whether we're talking about Kadero Hodge, that the Falcons just went away from what was working. And, you know, in certain ways early in the season, you were like, okay, well, it makes sense. You want to get maybe a young guy like Casey Washington on the field. You know, he needs reps to develop and whatnot and see if he has a future in this league. And lo and behold, Casey Washington been a healthy scratch the last month of the season and is not getting those reps. And meanwhile, 30-year-old David Sills is out here, you know, doing stuff. And Devin Tompkins, you know, 4'11" wide receiver. It's like, okay, what is he bringing to the table? And, you know, he's one of the short kings that Jarvis is a big fan of. So it's just like you're looking at the situation. So now Ray-Ray's coming out and sort of giving his side of the story without, you know, really being like, it's that guy, you know, but like you're just reading between the lines and being like, yeah, man, there's stuff going on. And, you know, ultimately, you know, this is the stuff with Raheem Morris that ultimately is going to undermine the decision, you know, potentially to retain him this year, because like the choices that the Falcons have made, specifically when you focus on the wide receiver room, have all been terrible. It's boiled down to like every decision that he has made, whether it's firing Ike Hilliard and promoting TJ Yates or reassigning TJ Yates and benching this guy and cutting this guy and promoting this guy, has not gone, you know, he's 0 for 12 essentially at that position. And that was such a huge part of the Falcons' offensive success in 2024. And it's been a huge part of the Falcons' offensive failures in 2025. And so, you know, it's telling that this stuff is coming out now. And as you said, I feel like there's more that's going to be coming as we unpack this thing, you know, late in the season and in the off season. But yeah, like it's emblematic of the disaster that the wide receiver position has been for the Falcons this season.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this in the interest of time. I'll just answer this question myself. Is there any correlation between Drew Dahlman and Grady Jarrett leaving the Falcons for Chicago and the Falcons having a losing record, while the Bears, well, you know what they're doing. They're not any longer sitting at the top of the NFC. Before a hot second, they did sit at the top of the entire conference and are still sitting pretty in their division, probably heading themselves to the playoffs. So yeah, the answer is there is a correlation. Sometimes when you part ways, especially when you part ways up front and then things kind of fall the way they have fallen for the Falcons, downward, and the way they've fallen for the Bears, trending up, Well, yeah, there's a line of correlation, just like we might actually find out, or we're starting to see some of the tea leaves being read with Ray-Ray McCloud, Ike Hilliard, and who knows how many other tea leaves, because like Maria said real quick, and I'll give you guys a one-word option to speak on this tweet, followed up with Chris Blair posting a video. This is from Kadero Hodge. It was a follow-up from him saying, Chris Blair posting a video of Kadero Hodge captioned, "We ain't forgot twin," and Hodge quotes it with, "Shh, somebody did." One word response for that. Jarvis, Maria, Aaron, go.
Wow.
Messy.
Well, I got one word. I love mess, so I'm all for it.
Like
Okay,
with no
3 words,
spaces?
4 words, Free. Maria, you got 4 words since Free took 4 words.
What did Aaron just say is my 4 words?
I love mess.
Jarvis, I got 4 words, so I'll give you 4 words to wrap us up.
Raheem is in trouble.
That's 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here for the foolishness.
Here we go again. What am I doing?
Find a way tonight to win.
Come on, Free,
No,
gotta
you
get one
broke
word to
the
close us out,
screen.
man. You got to get one word to close us out.
Where
4
are
words to
the receivers?
Off the rails show.
Love it.
Oh gosh, I love you guys. Man, just keeping it off the rails, because guess what? That's where it's been all season. Not just for us, but we know for. Thanks to our everydayers for making the Falcon Squad show your first listen of the day. Be sure to stop by Locked On Falcons with your host Aaron as your second listen. The Squad Show, Locked On Falcons, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. See ya.